Uh,
First of all,
in some facet or another, that's my brother, wow. Since I've been like 17, my mom kicked me out when I was 17. So that would be like 15 years ago.
what's your name?
Damian Brewer.
Damian. Brother, how old are you and where were you born and where did you grow up?
I'm 33. I was born in Ontario, Oregon, and I grew up mostly in Oregon, but I lived in Washington for 10 years too, in SoCal and Nevada, but mostly the Pacific Northwest.
Any children?
I have one daughter that I know of, yeah.
Where is she at?
She lives in Roseburg, Oregon with her mom.
How long have you been doing van life or homeless?
Uh,
First of all,
in some facet or another, that's my brother, wow. Since I've been like 17, my mom kicked me out when I was 17. So that would be like 15 years ago. Not that I haven't been homeless that whole time. I've had things, and you know what I mean, like a mortgage and trucks and in between there, but for a long time, you know.
you stayed out in Oregon or did you just go straight to California?
No, I've been in Oregon. I've only been in California since last May, I think, so for a year. And then I went to high school in San Diego, but that was many years ago.
Why did you come to California?
When I started this specific adventure, I started with another person, my ex-girlfriend, and she grew up in El Monte, which is in LA County. So we hitchhiked down to El Monte, and her dad had a house there, so that's why I came down to SoCal originally.
Did you graduate high school?
Technically, yes, I have a GED. Yeah. So no, I don't have a high school diploma, but I have a GED.
Were you popular in high school?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So family, where's your family at right now?
Like my mom lives in Oregon, in Klamath Falls, Oregon, and I have an extended family, mostly in Oregon and then in Nevada, the Reno, Nevada area.
You haven't seen her since she kicked you out?
No, I've seen her since then. I haven't seen her in probably 2 years though, 2 or 3 years.
You guys are cool?
Huh?
You guys are cool now?
Yeah, we were always, even back then, we were cool, you know what I mean? I have a lot of respect for my mom. I might not like her a lot, you know, but I love her, and I have a lot of respect for her. You know, I didn't grow up until she kicked me out, you know, and I had to learn shit on my own. But no, we're cool. I have to call her today. I haven't talked to her in a couple of years, but I was planning on calling her today.
Tell me about yourself a little bit, like before, back in Oregon,
Uh,
growing up as a kid.
well, I grew up like on a 38-acre working farm. In eastern Oregon, like Malheur County, right next to Idaho. Like the town I grew up in had a population of 150 people. Like the high school or the school, kindergarten through 12th grade had 300 kids in it, just to give you an idea of how big it was, you know. Like the year I left was their biggest graduating class ever, and I think they graduated 12 kids. Biggest senior class. So I grew up doing things country kids do, you know, shooting shit with shotguns, really. And then when I was a kid, my dad died, and my mom grew up in Nevada. My mom was born in Mexico, but her family moved to Nevada in the 60s or whatever, and that's where her family is from. And we moved there for a couple years, and then she married a man in the Navy, and then we kind of did a little moving around after that. But yeah, I grew up on a farm in eastern Oregon.
So what was it that she kicked you out for?
Just for being a miscreant, you know what I mean? I was just a disrespectful kid or whatever, you know. I'm not a bad person, and she did raise me right, I believe. I have a good moral compass, but I was just smoking weed and you know what I mean? Just being generally disrespectful.
Just weed back then?
No, I used to do other drugs too back then too, but yeah, it was just the weed. She didn't like weed or whatever. Now she doesn't care about it as much, but
It's all legal.
yeah. Well, and it's a pretty benign substance. I mean, anybody I think who knows anything about it really it's hard for your life to get out of control on marijuana. You know, in my opinion.
You still on marijuana?
Yeah, yeah. I wish I was on a little more, but yeah, I still smoke weed.
Anything else that you do besides that, or?
Well, until very recently, I have been. I was a methamphetamine addict
Oh, man.
for a long time, and then I've just recently being the last few years, I was been an intravenous methamphetamine addict. And again, this is all real recent, you know what I mean? But like, I haven't done drugs. It's just been a few weeks, a couple weeks now. This time, you know.
Okay, what does your tattoo say on your hands?
On my hand, it says Rory. My daughter's name's Aurora, Rory, and then that says fish.
Did you have the word fish because of your doggy?
No, I had the tattooed on my knuckles before fish, and I have fish tattooed on my arms.
I see that you love fish.
I did, yeah, or I do. At one point in my life, it's something I did every day, you know.
You do. Okay, dog right here named Fish.
Fish. She's my best friend in the whole world.
I see you like the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I used to. I haven't watched a football game in like 6 years, but I used to be a big part of my life. I lived in.
They're starting back up next week.
Yeah, I guess it's almost August, or it is August.
So what is your living arrangements right now?
Well, right now I just met a girl not too long ago, and she lives in a van. It's where I've been staying for the last couple weeks. You know what I mean? But it's not. Well, I just want to, you know what I mean, put it out there. Like, it's not my van, and I don't, you know, we're not married or anything. So, and then before that, I was sleeping on the sidewalks and shit. You know what I mean? Or in the bushes.
If you had the chance, or can you go back home?
Like to my mom's house?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've been welcome there for a long time, you know. Me and my mom, I love my mom. I can't get that across enough, you know, and I have a lot of respect for her. But sometimes we don't really like each other that much, you know.
You mentioned your brother called you. Do you have any other siblings?
Yeah, my brother, he's actually not my biological brother. He's just been my best friend since like 8th grade. But I do have a sister. I have one sister.
Do you have any, like, let's say, any places, any resources in case there's like a new homeless person that you could recommend they go get some resources at?
Honestly, I mean, just the DHS in California seems like it's been really good to, you know what I mean? You can walk in there, and if you have an ID, you can get your food stamps and your GR. I haven't done it or anything, but that's what I would tell people to go do. You know what I mean? If you were new to this game, you know. But if you're any kind of a survivor, it's not that hard, you know. Or for me, maybe it's not that. Maybe it's just me. But people are really nice. Living like this has reaffirmed a lot of my faith in humanity. You know, most people I believe are good people who they just want good things for everybody. You know, the bad apples ruin it for everyone, but people are really giving, at least to me. Or maybe it's the dog, or I don't know what, but. It's like I feel like I've always been kind of this person in training. I just didn't know it. And then when I started this adventure and I put on my big backpack with my dog, and people just started handing me money. That's what it felt like. You know, and people have never handed me money before. Even when I was back home, I was homeless for 4 or 5 years. It's different than this, you know. But like one time a guy handed me $100 when I was sitting outside of the grocery store there eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the snow with my girlfriend and our 2 dogs. And he gave me $100. And that was the only time anybody's ever gave me money. But I grew up there, you know, and I lived there. It's different than here. I couldn't imagine going on the corner there and holding a sign or playing guitar out. And I was a working man then.
You mentioned when you got cleaned up from methamphetamine.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you go?
Nowhere.
Where did you get cleaned up from?
Nowhere. I mean,
You just did it on your own?
Yeah, well, I did it like this girl I met. And I know I can't do anything for her necessarily. I did it because I knew it was the right thing to do, and I knew that it was something I needed to do. and my life had kind of slipped into this little pocket where I was really okay with like being down in the dirt and in the shadows and kind of, you know, getting high, and I just really normalized all that. And when I met her, she doesn't do any drugs, and I was literally shooting dope every day, and she would have twice as much energy as me. She really did inspire me in a lot of ways, you know. I mean, literally before I met her, I would have told you that I was going to get high every day until I died, and she really has inspired me.
So normally, what do you do to make some money out here?
Play the guitar. I have a guitar, and I guess, and again, it's probably the dog, but I can kind of look poor anywhere where there's like people about, like here, and people. I don't know how many dollars I have in my pocket. I didn't have any when I showed up here, and now I have like $27 or something. And like you said when you pulled up, this isn't a real high traffic area, or, you know, not where people are stopping with their windows down and shit.
Not like Walmart or...
You know, and every time I sit out, and I was just out there for only 10 minutes or whatever, and the security guard kicked me out, but I didn't ask one person for shit. I just put my head down and I was playing guitar, and people just I don't know, they see, I don't know what it is.
How long have you been playing guitar?
For a long, like 20 years.
Can we hear something, brother?
Yeah, sure. I just restrung this, so it might slip out of tune. Something like that.
Now, do you have a Instagram? Or
Yeah, I do. It's all lowercase, all one word. It's Dope Sick Fish, just like DOPESICKFISH. Dope Sick Fish.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. Anything else you want to say?
No. Perpetuate righteousness. Be nice to each other.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, homie.
Fish.
Fish.
We're done, but.
Good girl.
We have your permission to put you on our YouTube channel?
Absolutely. Yeah.